Hello, I'm Czardus. Grab some coffee, sit back, and chill as we learn how to go to orbit in Kerbal Space Program. But before we do that, be sure to go down below and click on the link to go to my game's Steam page and wishlist it. But anyway, we are now at the stage where we can talk about going to orbit. I hope you have spent some time doing a bit of research and practice and stuff like that, because what I want you to do is make sure that you have pretty much everything in this row in the tree: advanced rocketry, general construction, flight control, and basic science. You can get aviation if you want. I don't think it is necessary for this. At this point, it's really starting to get more into building planes, but the flight control is needed. Basic science you will want to have, and then general construction is very useful, and rocketry as well. So make sure you have those things. And then we're going to go into the vehicle assembly building and get working on building a probe. So to build a probe, what we want to do is we're going to get this right here, the Stay Putnik, and that should be in the base game. And then what we want to do is come down to other things. So I have MechJeb. It's a mod that I highly recommend. It's a pretty old one for Kerbal, but it will really help things if you wanted to do that. But we're not going to use it. We are going to use this inline reaction wheel, which will just help the entire thing have a little bit of control. And then what I want to do is come down and start talking about payload, because we need to get some stuff back from this mission. So we're going to put this in here, and you'll notice that, oh, the other thing I should mention is that I also think you should upgrade a couple facilities. Let's come in here. Let's not save that. I want to show you really quick what I have upgraded, because it is key. You need to upgrade the vehicle assembly building so that you can have a lot of parts. I've gone up and I now have, I'm level 2, so I can have 255 parts. And then the other one that's important is the launch pad, which will allow you to have a heavier and taller vessel. And then the tracking station, I'm not sure if this is really necessary, but I did upgrade that so that I can get patched conips in the map. I have not upgraded any of the other things, so that should be fine. So let's go back in here and get that probe started again. So we've got it here. And like I said, we want to get a little bit of the science in there. I'm just looking really quick to see if there was a thing to kind of change be a little bit more aerodynamic, and there really isn't. So we're just going to come in here and then go to science, and you want to pack as much as you can in there. You are going to want to have probably multiple thermometer, or like multiple of everything. I would bring 3 just in case of every science equipment you have, but try to squeeze it as much as you can. And what I want to do then, or what you want to do, and again, I'm going to squeeze these goo containers in, and you can clip them a little bit. Kerbal is not going to care if things are a little bit clipped. You might if you are trying to be as realistic as possible. I think it is just fine. So we've got 3 each of those, and then close the service bay, and we want to get the Science Junior. Now, the downside is this probe is going to be a lot, and we're like a lot of stuff to bring back, and the Science Junior can't withstand a ton of temperature or speed when it's landing. It is rather sensitive, and so we're actually not going to bring it. On the other hand, we do have the payload. If we go back to payload, this one can withstand quite a bit higher temperature. Look at that, 2900 Kelvin, and it can land at 14 meters per second compared to Science Junior of 1200 Kelvin and only 6 meters per second. So those will do really well, and Stay Putnik can do 1800. So Stay Putnik is really going to be the limiting factor that we have here. So again, we don't want to do the Science Junior. The other thing you can do if you're sending people up there is they can do an EVA and pull the Science out of the Science Junior and put it and store it in the crew capsule. But in order to do an EVA, you have to have upgraded I think the astronaut complex, which we have not done yet, or I have not. So I'm not going to send that up. So this should be all we need for the probe. What I do want to do, if this would work there, no it won't. What I want to do is I want to come down here and just have one small fuel tank, and then just a really basic, the pug should be fine. And that is our little probe. That should have enough delta V here, which is like our amount of energy that we have. And if we come here to this delta V tools, we can say, okay, we're in a vacuum. Yeah, it's going to have 2,300 meters per second of delta V. That is a lot. That should be able to get us slowed down just fine for getting back in. So what I'm going to do now is call this a basic probe. And I'm going to save that so that if I want to come back and build a new rocket with it, I can, and I already have all of that in place. So now we need to get this up into space. We're going to use this decoupler, the TD12 should be fine. The TD18 is bigger, and the TD25 is even bigger, so we don't need those. And then we'll come up and can actually do the bumper, I believe. We should have, so with that, we have 1,900 meters per second of power, or of energy. We need to get, I believe, about 3,500. Let me check a chart really quick. Yeah, so hopefully I remember to put this on the screen right now, but we basically, this is a chart that you can get. I'll put the link down below. What you can do with it is you can see how much delta V you need to get to different places, and that you can see we need, let's see, I have it closed right now. We need 3,400 delta V to be in orbit. So right now we've got 1960, and what we want to do is then, maybe this is going to be too much, but, and in fact, let's check that out. If we instead have the hammer booster here, bring this down, because remember, we're going to have like, how much in the vacuum? We're going to have 2,300 up in the vacuum. So really what we need to do is have enough to get up and out of the system. So what I want to do, actually, let's come back here, and we're going to do, sometimes building is a little bit of back and forth of testing different stuff out. We're going to do the swivel, I believe. We want it to have the most thrust. Actually, Reliant will have the most thrust of the liquid fuel engines. And let's get that down here. So now that gives us 2,100 meters per second. So then the next thing we'll do is we will get a couple of boosters on the outside here to get us going. And for those, we'll use the hammers. Put those there, and we're going to lower this down a bit. And I want to snapping toggled on here. These pretty far down, like that. Then we need a couple of things for aerodynamics. We need a nose cone on here that will just help it be a bit smoother. And then we will get the Delta Deluxe winglet and put it on here too. So while we're in the atmosphere, that will help keep us stable. This should help us get pretty high. We've got 1,200 and then another 2,000 from there. And then we should be up high enough that the other one should work from there. And then we want to get structural stuff. And the first thing we're going to do is strut connector. We probably don't need it, but as your rockets get bigger, these strut connectors will be useful for just helping everything stick together. And we want to make sure that we're nice and stable. And then we'll get the launch stability enhancer. And that will just keep us pretty stable on the launch pad itself. Okay, then we're going to set up our stages. When we launch, we want to get trigger those and our boosters. That's good. Then the next stage will be to jettison those and turn on the liquid fuel engine. And then the last one will be to jettison that and do that. And then the last thing we need is actually the parachutes. So we want radial mount. We'll come back down to just one, I believe. Let's zoom in really quick. I should have put these on probe before. We want the drogue chute. That will slow us down a bit, and forgot a heat shield too, actually. Put that here. We're gonna move this off. Then up here, we need to get a heat shield. That might be all that we need. How much can that cargo bay hold? Payload. 2,900, so that doesn't need the heat shield. It might be okay. Just to be safe, we could put these small radiator panels on the probe. Yeah, like that. Although, ideally, we will be coming down this way, and that will just radiate that off as well. That should be good. And then the other thing we need here, before I forget, is we need a radio communication. So we'll put that, just one of these. Try to get it as close to the top as we can here. Just because I like the way that looks when you've got it on there. That is not quite the right spot though. That'll work. I'll take that. And then we do need another coupler here. Put that there, and then we can put that, raise it up a tiny bit. Yeah, that should be good. So now we've got heat shield. We have one rogue chute, or drogue, whatever it's called. Drogue chute, and then we'll get a radial mount regular chute on this side. And the other thing you can do is we can come in here and we have different tools here. We can move. I want to rotate. So we're clicking on rotate, and then I'm going to click on the chute itself, and we get this little gyroscope. We can move it like that. Yeah, that should work. What is the heat tolerance on those? 2,500, 2,500. They should be fine. So then we do want to add one more stage here though. Move that up there. And actually we'll have two stages. The radial mount up here, and then the drogue will go there. So to recap here, we're going to fire the boosters, then fire the liquid fuel engine, the first one, and then this can go up here actually in a separate stage, and then fire the one for in space, and then we'll have these other ones. Now our delta V did change because we took down some stuff, but we should have, we've got about 2,900 there, and then once we get into the vacuum we've got 1,500. So I think this will be enough. We're going to save this basic probe as it is, and we will give it a try. Okay, so I just did a test, and we don't quite have enough delta V. So what we're going to do is probably add, it was the next stage that I really wanted, so we're going to move that off, and we're going to move this up, and we're going to get more fuel. So we'll get 3 of those in there. And then the other thing was that it was a little bit unstable, so we're going to move this up a little bit higher, about there. These, looks like I didn't quite take it off of at the coupler, so we're going to get these back on that coupler as best we can here. Maybe we'll move the couplers There we go. So again, sometimes it is a little bit tricky, and you can also see that our wings could be centered on those tanks a little bit better. Those are snapped on pretty well, but it's not putting them centered here. So what I'm going to do is turn off snapping, and then we can eyeball that a little bit better to be in between them. I think that should be a little bit better. And double check that none of our stages got mixed up. We should be good. Try this again. All right, in that test, we had a little bit of an issue. So once again, the way I play, I really like to just build and test it and revert the flight if necessary. And because otherwise, you know, you have to have it perfect. And I'm not an engineer by any means, nor am I a spaceflight expert. Now, what we could do, actually, let's do this. We're going to take these decouplers off, and we're going to put these ones on. These are a bit more powerful. They will fire those fuel tank or the boosters off a little bit better. And if we need to, in a moment, actually, here, let's get this. That goes. Our stages are all messed up here. Yeah, that goes right. Okay. I'm going to test this one more time. Now, the problem I'm having is that we are still a bit unstable. And another thing I'm going to do just for additional support here is we're going to put another set of fins here. And that will just give us a little bit more control. Hopefully that will be enough. So this rocket is not controllable at all. What we're going to do instead, I'm going to try the thumpers. Just because I want to see if that makes it more controllable. And again, I'm going to say one more time that one of the things about Kerbal is to go in and just test things out. Like, that's part of the fun. And so you might be watching this and being like, oh man, he doesn't know what he's doing. But the thing is that you build it and then you just play with it. And that is really what I want you to do as well. I want you to see it, and I want you to play and really just have fun with the game. There's so much to this, and it can be really fun to just, you know, build a rocket and see it explode. That is really fun too. But anyway, I'm going to test this out, and we'll get this set. We need the structural supports too here. Go ahead and put those up pretty high. And then just double check the rest of that. Okay, test time. Okay, so this one can get us to orbit. It is not stable. I do recommend continuing to play with it and see what you can do. Probably moving your fins around, maybe adding more fins. I don't know. There's a lot you can do to test it, but we can get to orbit. It does get a little bit easier when you have a crewed vessel, and that's one thing we could do is we could take off the probe at the top, and in fact, maybe we should do that, because what we can do then, here, let's go back to the vehicle assembly, and we will come in here and zoom in. I really wish there was an easier way, but I don't know of an easy way. But we are going to move this off to the side, and we'll take this and remove it, and then we will get a crewed pod, the Mark 1 command pod. It's up there now, and what we can do is we can just pop that right there, bring that back down, and then we could in fact put the parachute, the Mark 16 parachute on the top. And this pod can handle 1,200 inside. So I do want to get some radiators on here, not the large ones. We've got 2 on here just to deflect some of that heat that will inevitably come off of it. But that should be good. And we should be able to make that work now and just double check that we've got all of our staging right still, because we've made changes to the vessel. We want to make sure that everything is here. That's the drogue chute. These are the major chutes. In fact, we could switch this to a drogue. Grab this, and we're gonna get, there should be 2 of them there now. Yep, and those are all on the same stage. Very good. So now what we can do, there was something I wanted to double check the delta V here. In vacuum, that is going to have 974. Sea level, we have enough delta V. We're going to be fine. So let's go ahead and do this. So when we're here at the launch pad, now we can come in and click toggle SAS because we have Jebediah here. And then we're going to have stability assist. He will help keep this rocket stable. And when we get up, we can talk about what these buttons will do as well. But for now, let's go ahead and launch. So we hit spacebar to go. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually zoom out so I don't have that rocket so loud for me. But we're watching that speed. I'm going to hit Z so that the throttle goes up. And now that we're above 200 meters per second, we're going to start to hit D to kind of rotate a little bit. And we're trying to do what's called a gravity turn. We want to get to about 45 degrees. And then we want to stay at that 45 degree mark. Okay, now I'm watching up here. Actually, we're going to get to be about right there. So we're at 45 degrees. We're watching that stage changed. We're going to hit spacebar to jettison those. And then we are watching this Apoapsis height. And that information is one of the buttons here. Not that, that's the, okay, I'm not gonna mess with that because I'm flying. But that can get that up there, I believe. And we're going to get this Apoapsis to about, I don't know, 100,000. And then we're going to hit EPS to kill the throttle, because we don't want to use that fuel. It's just going to make us go too far. And then we're going to hit M, and that's going to give us our view here. And you can see this is the path we're taking. And AP is our Apoapsis. That is the top of our orbit, the highest, the furthest away from the planet we will be. And what we want to do, we're going to go hit Prograde here. And we actually didn't want to do that while we were still, yeah, let's keep, oh, it should be fine. We can do Prograde here. But when we get to 70,000, that's probably the better time to do that, because then it is easier. We're completely out of the atmosphere. But we're about to hit space. I believe we're there now. And when we get closer to the Apoapsis, we're going to fire our rocket with Prograde selected. And Prograde versus Retrograde. Prograde is when you are trying to like go forward in a sense. You're firing in a way that will propel your rocket in the direction it's going. Retrograde, on the other hand, fires it in the other way. So if we wanted to slow down, we would use retrograde. If we want to speed up, we use prograde. In this situation, we want to go faster so that we can expand our speed, and we want to do that as close to the Apoapsis as possible, but we want to do it before we get there. So what we're going to do here is we are about a minute away. I'm going to fire that rocket, and we are going to see this trajectory increase. And so our Apoapsis is going up right now, but we are also making this ring a bit farther because we are building our orbit speed. And pretty soon it's going to go all the way around the planet. And when I start to see a PE show up, then I know that we are technically in an orbit. So if we go right about here, you can see now our Periapsis, though, is only 13,000 meters, which means we're going to come down and we're going to hit the atmosphere, and then we will be going too slow to continue. But what we can do is we can wait until we get to this Apoapsis again, and then fire it again, and that will get that a little bit higher. The most efficient use of your fuel is going to be done at these 2 points. when it comes to increasing your orbit or decreasing your orbit. And so what we're going to do is when we get a little bit closer here, and I will time warp to get there, then we will go ahead and do stuff. But in the meantime, we should have some science to do. And we can come in here and we can right-click and open up that service bay. We're in space now. And we can come a little bit closer here. Right-click on a mystery goo. Observe that. That should give us quite a bit of science. So only 2.3. I sent something up this high before. A little bit from that too. And we'll get the thermometer as well. Log the temperature. And then we can close the service bay for now. And we're going to do a crew report. Nothing there, so we can just recycle that. I can't EVA yet. So that is all the science we're going to get here. Okay, I've time warped. We're getting close to the Apoapsis again. And one thing you'll notice is that your speed has gone down, your orbital speed. But we are going to get to prograde again. And then we are going to fire this again. And we're just going to watch that Periapsis go up. And as soon as it is up over 70,000, we are officially in an orbital path, and we will just continue in this path without having anything. And you'll even see up here we got world first milestone. We have entered orbit. Very good. So that is nice, and I can do a little bit more science now because we are actually high above the planet. So we're going to open this up, and that being high above generates a little bit more stuff. So go ahead and go through and do all of your experiments, and then when we're about ready to land, I will talk again. I should mention that one thing you can do when you have the antenna is you can transmit the science. Unfortunately, I did not bring enough electric charge. We've got 50. Okay, we might be able to do it. We're going to go ahead and right-click and go to Review Report. That'll bring up the crew report again. And if we transmit this... Nope, we don't have any... Oh, we took the antenna off when we took the probe off, so we can't do that. But that is one thing you can do, is that you can use that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to time warp to when we're closer to the Periapsis, because when you want to decrease your Apoapsis, you want to burn retrograde at your Periapsis. When you want to increase your Periapsis, you want to burn prograde at your Apoapsis. And then the other thing is, if you want to increase your Apoapsis, you come over here and you burn prograde. So anyway, we're gonna go around and get closer to that. Okay, we are about 4 minutes away. I'm going to click retrograde now, so Jeb will turn the vessel around to be burning towards retrograde. And that might be, yeah, it's using up some of our electric charge. If you run out of electric charge, but you have fuel, you can burn some fuel and it will recharge your electricity a tiny bit. Now, you'll notice we've done this without even getting to our last stage. So we did do a little overkill, and that could be one way that you can change what you've got. Now, if we start to see the planet, there it is. A great view there, I think. Okay, so now we are getting closer to that Periapsis, and what we want to do is go back to this view so that we can watch that go down. And I guess, you know, maybe we should do this from the Apoapsis. The other thing to pay attention to is where we're landing. So that is the desert launch site. We want to try to land over here. So I think we will fire retrograde here. We've got plenty of fuel. And what we want to do is get that Periapsis. We're going to go not quite full strength here, but I want to bring this down. I really want to watch that trajectory here. And when it gets maybe over here, I'm going to kill it out here. Let's see where that puts us. So the Periapsis here is 10,000. I think what we'll do is we'll bring it a little bit lower. We'll keep going here. And I want to try to shoot to land about here. because once we get into the atmosphere, and we're about there now, we will slow down from the atmosphere. So what we want to do now, we are on our final approach here. We're going to actually stability assist, and one thing I'm going to do is turn. We're going to get rid of that, and then we're going to turn again. Keep turning this way. Get rid of that, and then we're going to go to retrograde. By the way, this little thing here is part of MechJeb, but we don't have any more engines now. We just have our science and our heat shield and our parachutes. So now we are going to slowly make our way down, and we'll just do stability assist here. And now we have 13 minutes to Periapsis, so probably about that long until we land. But you can go ahead and time warp here as well. One thing I will note about time warping is the SAS does not work while you're warping. So you'll notice that I'm going just a little bit at a time, and then giving Jeb an opportunity to get us back to retrograde. I did switch back to retrograde because otherwise we returned completely in the wrong direction. But now you can see there is the Kerbal Science Center. That's what we're aiming for. And hopefully we get it right. We're about to re-enter the atmosphere, no longer in space. And hopefully we get a nice landing here. Okay, we're far enough down that we're starting to heat up. You can see we're turning red a little bit. That means the atmosphere is hitting us, and we are getting atmospheric braking is what it's called, when the air in the atmosphere is slowing us down from that friction. Of course, friction creates heat, and that is where this heat is coming from. One thing you could do is you can rotate like this, and I find sometimes that helps spread the heat a little bit among your different heating things. Now that does use electric charge, so we have to be careful with that. But we are going to make our way down here. So far, we're actually landing pretty well here, I think. I'm going to switch here to surface, and you can see the difference right now as we're over the highlands a little bit, and you can see an actual difference on there. But now we are slowing down more. Should be getting even hotter and hotter. And if you have some of the mods, the atmospheric mods and stuff like that, the graphic mods, you can see the trail that you are creating, but which I just think is a really cool thing. You can see that over there for those too, for the parts that we jettisoned. And we are overshooting a little bit here, but again, we should land relatively close to the thing. Now, there's lots of banging. I think that's probably maybe a sonic boom impact from mods that I got. But now we are slow enough that we're not getting burning friction, which means we have survived. We have made it here. Now the only thing left is to fire those drogues, which are now ready. We can do that. That will slow us down faster. And in fact, since we're pretty close to the Science Center, I'm going to go ahead and do the next one too. If all of our chutes are out, that will give us as much deceleration as we can and get us in here. We're going to land really close. So the closer you land to the Science Center, the more funds you get from recovery. And that would be pretty good. Now, we are going to lose a lot. Oh, and you know what I should have done is I should have, if you have not done this yet, make sure you go to the mission control and sign up for some orbital missions. I'm going to end up having to revert my launch and do this all over again so that I can get all the bonuses from those contracts. And you really will want to do that. But we are going to come in here. We're going to land just fine, and I think that is really good. So when we land, we'll get a whole bunch of signs. You've done that before. You know what it's like. You can do that on your own. I hope you found this useful. Next week, I will show you, hopefully, how to land on Minmus. Be sure to subscribe so you can see how to do that next week. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.